Hello and welcome to the MAC weather page for this Friday, August 31st. And you can see by the chart we have here, this is the forecast for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We could actually have significant rains even on Tuesday, but for the forecast, for the purposes of the long holiday weekend, this is what I'm forecasting. From 0.7 to 1.2 inches of rain is what I'm forecasting for much of the area, the 14 station average. And we can see some areas with quite a bit less, especially over southeast lower Michigan into southwest Ontario, but we could see amounts closing in on maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches once you get back towards the northwestern portions of the MAC area. But overall, I think about 0.7 to 1.1. And again, for today though, the headlines, lots of sunshine. We expect temperatures to climb into the upper 70s to around 80, so we'll be about 5 to 7 degrees warmer today than what we were yesterday. And then we expect those storms to be scattered. It won't be raining all the time. In fact, many hours will be dry, but any of the thunderstorms that occur could certainly bring some locally heavy rainfall. Right now, we don't expect any severe weather from this system. Perhaps as we get towards Tuesday or so next week, that may be a different story, or even Monday, but we got plenty of time to look at that. And you can see, I took a poll, how many people thought we'd get on this period more than 3/4 of an inch. 53% think we'll see less than 3/4 of an inch. 47% say we'll get more than 3/4 of an inch, and that's actually what I'm thinking too. I think we'll see over 3/4 of an inch in most areas. And again, southeast lower Michigan, maybe not so much. And if we look at the next screenshot, you can see all the lightning from the previous storm we had. This was over the Saginaw Valley, Saginaw Bay area. You can see just a tremendous amount of lightning strikes across that region. And the picture here shows some damage up in the Houghton Lake area as well. And if we look at for the climatology for yesterday, we had a high of 68, so much cooler, and we had overnight lows in the low 50s, even a couple upper 40s across the area, with no precipitation yesterday and no precipitation since midnight. And again, we'll start to see those chances increase possibly late tonight, but a better chance as we get into Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Again, about each day, probably a 30 to a 50% chance. But again, if you get underneath one of those thunderstorms, you could get some heavy rain. Temperatures out there this morning in the low 50s for the most part. The warm spot 58 at Jasper. The cool spot for the second day in a row, 52 degrees at Lakeview. And as far as precipitation since midnight, nothing across the board. And if we look at the satellite view this morning, you can see some of the developing clusters of thunderstorms that'll pop up here in the later frames. And this is the area that in a couple of days we expect to shift a little farther to the east. A push of cold front coming down from the northwest is going to be very slow, as the upper flow in the jet is going to keep that front from moving too far south. But eventually we may see that try to move through the state, but it probably is going to be unsuccessful. And then wherever that boundary sets up, the heaviest rains will be near it and to the northwest of it. And right now, if things work out right and that front stays far enough to the northwest, we could see some of the areas getting well into the 90s as we get towards next Tuesday or Wednesday or Monday in that time frame. Again, the timing on this is going to be important. If the front is closer or even slightly goes through, we could see more significant rain and maybe some more flood type events as we get into early next week. So we still got a few days, but for right now, for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the holiday weekend, I'm still looking at that about 0.7 to 1/10 on the radar, 0.7 to 1.1 inches of rain. You can see on the radar view some of these thunderstorms coming out of Missouri exploding into the area. And again, those will weaken, redevelop here in the afternoon and evening hours, and then again weaken towards the morning hours. So as this area gets closer to us, that's when I think our best chances of scattered thunderstorms will be again later this weekend into early next week. On the forecast map this morning, you can see the areas of low pressure well off to our west. And again, heavy thunderstorms, severe weather, and heavy rains expected from Wisconsin all the way back to the Dakotas. And again, right now, that's where we expect the very heaviest rains to fall over the next several days. You can see by tomorrow morning, that front just ever so slowly moving this way. And then finally, as we get into Sunday, front of the sun knocking on our doorstep, and I think we'll have a little bit better chance of showers and thunderstorms. But again, the heaviest rains will be near that frontal boundary. And again, it depends on where this front ultimately makes it through. If it gets into our area, then we can see much more in the way of rainfall. But right now, the best bet is the heaviest rains from the storm will be off to our west. As far as how much precipitation, you can see all the way down to about 1/4 of an inch across southeast lower Michigan over towards southern portions of southwest Ontario, but quickly jumps to over an inch over the next 7 days across much of the area. And again, we have to watch that area of heavy rains to make sure that it doesn't actually end up settling farther to the south and east, much like the last system did. And as far as the forecast goes today, looks like temperatures will make it up around 80. We'll be well into the low 80s over the weekend. Maybe again, we got right now 85 and 87 for next week, but we could see those temperatures possibly go above 90 degrees if that front were to stay further to the northwest, and that certainly is a possibility. But for now, we'll say warm and muggy conditions right on through the weekend into early next week, and we'll keep an eye on where that frontal boundary ultimately ends up. Thanks for stopping by, and have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and 73s to all.